much for my brain. Sorry, my fucking voice is a little blown from the last shows. My biggest influences, like I'm gonna assume musically, because I have a lot of different influences from different things, whether it's film or my favorite director or some shit like that. But uh, man, I don't know. I'm influenced by the entire world. I think I'm influenced mostly by the world that I grew up around. So not to make it sound pseudo deep or anything, but I grew up in very impoverished neighborhoods in two sides of the world. So one side being Mexico, one side being California. Um, and I got to see extreme poverty and extreme wealth every single day of my life. For whatever reason, that always just like sparked something in my brain that made me feel a little off. And it inspired me to kind of like push the limits of what I thought creativity was. Um, and it makes a lot of sense in my head, but coming out, I guess it would sound foreign and weird. Um, I would say just my biggest influences have been, the things that I've been privileged enough to be around, whether they're fucked up or not. Uh, and, I have a lot of musical influences, but that's like, who doesn't? And I don't necessarily have like a top 10 um, that I can think of off rip. Uh, but definitely the people that you probably think are in there are probably in there. So that's where I would stay with that one.
Nice. I'm gonna bring up the next person. Iman M.
Hey, what's up, Gene?
Hey, what's up, Doc?
I appreciate you so much. I just wanted to let you know you're my favorite artist right now, and you inspire me a lot and a lot of my friends to, keep doing what you're doing. And, I love everything you're doing. I just wanted to ask, I know it's starting off with a bang, but kind of last week when we talked on here, you said something about your new project hopefully coming out within the first half of this year. And I was just wondering if that is true. Is there any like collaborations that you were really happy about, or any collaborations at all that you did on this project that we could know about if you can tell us?
Yeah, well, thank you for, the kind words from you and your friends being, you know, liking what I do. And I really appreciate it. It's, it's weird for me, man. I've never been the center of attention and nothing. I've never really been good at anything specific that's notable until I was like 13 and I was like, oh, I want to do music. And I just kind of like stuck my whole head in the toilet with it.
Yeah, man,
Um,
I'm honestly like starstruck right now. So if I could tell you how much you really mean to me, like I could go on, man. But I just want to let you know you impress the whole world with your music, and we love what you do. So just keep going, man.
Man, thank you so much. That you don't even have an idea how that makes me feel. And it's like every time somebody says something like that, it's still like surreal. And
Hell yeah.
trust, I'm always on the opposite end of that spectrum as well. Like I've met artists and I'm like, what the fuck do I say to this person?
Yeah, man,
And
you're
like
just a regular dude.
yeah, for sure. And like it's hard. Like trust, I've been in very many situations where I'm just like, yo, I don't know what to say. But to answer your
Yeah.
question, um this project has features on it. How many is subject to change currently, just because I'm not signed or anything, and I have to like work with labels
Yeah.
because artists need to get shit released via the label. So anything that their voice is on, it has to go through like kind of a process of getting getting cleared, kind of like a sample. So I've worked on a lot of different songs with a lot of different artists that I really appreciate. But it's at the end of the day, it's like it's kind of a chokehold game, because I'm not in that system with them, and it's usually easier when you're in that system with them because there's like a certain level of getting things bypassed, and I
Yeah.
don't have that. As much as an artist wants to be a part of this dude is driving on the opposite side of the street. Jesus Christ. That was wild stuff. So there's a lot of features that I would love to tell you about, but
Yeah.
at the end of the day, I won't know until those things are cleared. So I don't want to just put something out in the air and just be like, yeah, this is the thing, even though I'm excited about it because I don't have the control over I only have control what I can do because since I'm not signed, I don't have to listen to no fucking body. But that's
Yeah.
not the case for a lot of my contemporaries. A lot of them have to like go over a team like, oh, is this right for us? Is Gene a good look? Is Is he problematic? Is he getting canceled for anything? They have to go through all that stuff. And it's good to consider the artist's best interest. It's just sometimes it does get in the way when it's somebody like me that I don't really have no issues. Um, but one of the issues is that I'm not in their system, and I'm not anti their system as well. I'm not anti label. I'm just anti bad business. Um,
Facts.
so sometimes it's a little tricky. So to answer your question, in like a bow ties, yeah, it's not pixel bath because look, man, I make rock and roll and it's mixed with like all my influences, whether it's a music genre or not. I kind of want to defeat the purpose of something being so limited to one soundscape because you see artists change every fucking day. And sometimes when their core audience is expecting something specific
And they don't
and you
get it.
deliver that, yeah,
Yeah.
you have situations where they're like, ah, man, I don't like this as much. And
Yeah.
for me, I don't give a fuck enough to like this is the thing that I do because if I ever get in that position, I feel like I'm trapped in a corner and I don't like feeling cornered. So, um, Pixel
Yeah,
Bath didn't
man.
have a Pixel Bath didn't have any features because I was like, this is a rock and roll project. Um, and Chaos Now is a little more rock and roll than Pixel Bath was even in that part. But there
Oh,
is
wow.
something
Okay.
there's something to be said that I wanted to bring in the feeling of having like a gang mentality when it came to records and like what people can bring onto these records. So um, I do have a song with Dominic Fike. I don't know if it's going to come out on the album, but
Oh,
that
yeah.
song is cleared. And me and Dom are like, that's a superstar. That's like when you get to see your friend do something fucking sick, and you could just be like, wow, this is fucking crazy.
He makes beautiful
Um,
music, bro. For
he
real.
makes he makes beautiful music. So me and him have a record. Will it be on the project? Not sure.
Yeah.
Will it come out? Yeah, it'll come out sometime. But that's one. And then there's some other people in there. There's some pretty heavy hitters all throughout the project,
Okay.
and I
Okay.
wanted I wanted them to feel special and invited into this really chaotic place, and
Hey,
it's been
honestly,
beautiful
bro,
thus far.
if you could just surprise us, that means just as much as you telling me right now. It'll actually make the experience a lot better for some people, just to like
Oh,
see it when it comes out and then just be psyched.
oh yeah. I mean, that's what I love about music, dude. I don't listen. I don't even watch trailers for movies. So,
Yeah,
I'm
facts.
not the person that just be like, yo, I got this person and this person and this person. I'm just like, yo, when you get it, you get it. If you like it, that's sick. If you don't, I mean, fuck it, it wasn't for you.
Yeah, man. Well, aside from the features, I'm just really excited to hear some new music from you, bro. So keep doing you. I appreciate you and your time. I'll
No,
peace
thank
out.
you. Thank you for the question. I really appreciate you.
All right, man. Peace.
Peace.
Hey,
Yo,
what's up? What's
what's
good?
up, dog? How you doing?
I'm good, man. How about you?
Good. I can't complain.
I'm
Can't.
so I'm so excited you finally dropped the Dom bombshell. That was like big ass secret.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I dropped it. I dropped that bomb at after a show one time. Actually, it was the first time I
I
told
heard
people
nothing
that.
about it. Whoever you told
Yeah,
it to is pretty good at not talking.
yeah, man. I just don't like. You know what I mean? I'm not like a person that likes doing things for fucking attention, and especially like using my homies that have a certain level of success for attention. It's about the music for me. So like the fact that they are superstars and shit, like it's kind of besides the point for me if the song's not good.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
so like I'm not like you won't see me drop a feature list so people can like something. It's like,
Absolutely.
when Rocky got on Pixel Bath, that wasn't like for me that wasn't a flex. For me it was like the dude asked to be on my album and I didn't even ask him. He was like, "What song do you have for me?" And I was like, "Holy shit. All right, cool." And then I gave him this thing and he did what he did, which was murder it. And
That's sick.
that was, the story of that. But it was never like yo, please get on my album. And everybody that knows me knows I'm just not that guy.
Yeah, of
Um,
course.
so yeah.
Yeah,
Anyways,
that's how you do it. Well, I mean, I I own your server, so you know how much I appreciate you. Like
yeah,
just overall. Like I don't even have to say anything. But I already like know quite a bit about the album, so I'm gonna ask a pretty mundane question. What is your favorite key to make songs in?
uh, good one.
Lately, I've
So
been on
my
my F major. That's my favorite right now.
Okay, so I sing naturally in an E flat. That's
Okay.
like my most. It's so weird, but it's where I'm most comfortable. But it's really hard to find good chord progressions in there, just because
Yeah.
it's like kind of weird and gray. Um, because my voice is, I can hit really high notes when I need to. I don't really like to all that much. Like when I perform demi, it's a stretch for me, and like I can feel it in my throat because I'm not singing from my diaphragm.
Yeah.
Um, but that song's really high up. Um, but anytime anybody gives me anything, like when I'm playing with the band or when I'm producing with Zach, and we start with the E flat, it's just super easy. But I don't try to rely on that too much because, excuse me, it it gets fucking boring for one, and I like experimenting with my voice because one thing about being a person that doesn't really rely heavily on features is that I have to have different characteristics in my voice because I I get really bored really fast, and anybody that I work with can tell, like, attest to how fast um I'll make a left turn
Yeah.
because if something feels way too structured, it's just like there's something to be said about the surprises in music, right? So like when Queen and Freddie Mercury were making Bohemian Rhapsody, there was something to be said about
Yeah.
like, oh, we're going here, but don't be afraid, like I'm taking you somewhere. And the amount of voicings that a human is capable of, like your voice being an instrument, you should explore that even if it makes you uncomfortable. And that was one thing that I really, really, really got comfortable with in making my last record was there's no features, but I definitely want different voices and different characters for every song. Um, although they're all coming from the same focus.
Yeah, of course.
Uh,
And I think you really nailed that concept, just to give you a little bit of props. I think you definitely nailed having a different vibe vocally for every single song.
man, yeah, thank you. I feel like it's coming from like a rap background. It was a lot harder because when you rap, your tone, like for instance, Rocky. When you hear Rocky on a record, Rocky is Rocky, and there
Yeah.
is no, and not in a bad way, but it's like this is his. What even when he sent me back his vocals back in the time Pixel Bath era, I was like, fuck, it's so crazy to have somebody uh like literally sound like themselves,
Yeah.
and I love that as well. I just something for me is like I'll get bored with what I sound like, so I will like okay, I'm gonna write this song and I'm gonna try to feel like a 70-year-old white man that just got a crazy last minute divorce after
Great,
30
great
years of
analogy.
marriage,
Yeah.
and like feeling sad. So what does that sound like? Or I want to feel like I'm a 13-year-old on a bicycle, you know, and I have no fear of anything. How does that sound? So a
Yeah.
lot of the times there's this like weird focus on like the development of humans and the circumstances that they're in because music isn't flat. It's very
Yeah.
much so a dynamic experience.
Yeah. You just said 70-year-old man who just got divorced. That's literally just rodeo clown. That's
A
that
hundred,
song.
a hundred, shit. Look, me and D, I can tell you a lot about D, and I can tell you that is a master class in uh, putting yourself in a position. Like he's a method, you know, not actor, but he's a method like musician, and he will definitely. And I'll let him tell that story when he decides to. But
Yeah.
he's one of the people that I confide in when it comes to music because the way that he understands music is very particular, and it's always like really refreshing to hear somebody with that level of like self when it comes to like what they do with their voice. And
Yeah.
me and Dijon have worked on many things, and they've all sounded vastly
Yeah.
different.
He's a good guy. He's a good guy.
Yeah. All
Yeah,
right,
he's
let's.
an
All
amazing.
right, guys. I want to make room for everyone to ask a
Yeah,
question.
sorry. We went off on a tangent, but yeah. I'm a dip out. It was lovely talking to you, Gene. Let's talk soon.
Hey, what's up? Y'all can hear me?
Yeah.
Hey, Gene, I love you, man. Got my ass nervous up here, right?
Oh man,
Um,
don't be.
I don't know if you remember, but I'm the guy a couple weeks ago who got the tattoo of the skull with the star on my arm.
Oh man, yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah. My question is, do you consider the three songs under the name Donnie Dawson to be the start of your discography, or do you start it off with Glacier Gallery?
I fucking hate that song. All right, so damn, your profile photo and the name of it. It's like so. I'm gonna keep it really short, but when I made Stain Bones, that was the first time I ever really appreciated what I did musically, right? Because before that,
Mhm.
before even Donnie Dawson, I was six other monikers that really nobody knew about unless you followed me on SoundCloud from day one. Um, and they were all different genres of music, and that's why people were like, "Oh, Gene genre bands." It's like, nah, dude, I just been practicing a lot of different things for a long time. Um, where I just was cool to switch over from thing to thing, and it's not like it was effortless. Anyways, uh, I'll answer your question in a loop. So when I wrote Stained Bones, I feel like that's the start of my discography, right? Um,
Mhm.
but before that, I was using my family name that everybody calls me, which I don't really want to be called by people outside of that. So I'll leave that where it's at. But that was when I was rapping, and I wanted to be like Earl so bad. And I tell him all the time because me and Tebe are cool now, and like he's actually somebody that I've been starstruck around. And just, when I first met him, I met him years ago in passing, and I just said thank you and shook his hand. And now, like, we talk all the time, text and stuff. And that was like a weird thing for me. But before that, I was doing stuff that was like maybe OF adjacent, where it was like I grew up in that generation. You know what I mean? I was a kid that really fucked with OF um, because it was weird, and I understood because I was a skater kid. Uh, then I remember calling one of my friends and being like, "Yo, I really want to make a rock record," and for no particular reason either. I was just like, "Oh, like I've never tried to do a rock record. I play guitar a little bit, but it was never my bread and butter. But I've always loved rock music, from whatever bands you can name, pretty much all of them, and I've listened to everything, and alcoholism and stuff like that. And I was like, wow, this is this is different, and I really like this. And that was the first song that people on SoundCloud really fucked with, even though it didn't have the crazy amount of plays. It was just people enjoyed it, and I didn't really give a fuck about that. It was the fact that I enjoyed it, and I was like, wow, making this felt so different, and it was like the perspective was so different. So I feel like my discography did start with Stain Bones era, but when I did the things under Donnie Dawson, um, that was me still exploring and being unsure about what I wanted to do next. So I don't know if that's like, I think the best way to explain it is like that's like a whole different chapter. That's like it's like a fucking, what are they fucking called in a show? A spinoff. So I feel like those were spinoffs of like what I really wanted to do. And like Glacier Gallery was cool, but I fucking hated that song, and I hated that I did it with like some company like that wanted to put it out as like a single or some shit. And it like felt really wrong, and like it like cannibalized itself because I was like, oh yeah, people are gonna play it, and they put this ugly ass fucking Fox character because it's the consume brand or whatever, and I was just like really not fucking with the whole idea. And I've since tried to get that shit removed from literally everywhere, and it's a pain in the ass. But to answer your question, yeah, I would say my discography started when I was 13 years old, and I started making my first rap songs to like Mac Miller beats and shit like that. I think that's when I really was like, okay, this is where it starts, even if it's really fucked up and crude and underdeveloped. Because it took me 10 years to be considered a new artist. And those 10 years and the 100,000 hours that I had put in to be considered a new artist was a really big learning experience for me to get comfortable and uncomfortable with myself and continue to practice that beam of balance. And that's what Bad Sports was like this kid that's really uncomfortable with what he's doing because he doesn't know what he's doing. Then Pixel Bath is like, oh, this kid is sure of himself, but he's still experimenting. And then Pixel Bath was like, oh, yeah, you know. And even now with Chaos Now, it's like, no, it's for sure it knows itself. That the music is aware of itself in a very specific way. So I would say my discography didn't start with Donnie Dawson. I think my discography started with my first shit that I've rapped over on Magic's Music Maker 6. And everything since then has just been part of this weird amalgamated story that's still getting written, I guess.
I got you.
Right.
Well, I'm gonna head out. Let
Thank
somebody
you for
else
your
answer the
question.
question. I'm gonna be a front row weekend two with my Starface mask on, so I'll see you there.
Oh, let's do it. Let's fucking go.
All right, see you, man.
All right, bro.
What's up, Javi?
Hey, all right. So I really like the aesthetics that you got going on in your music videos. And
Yes, sir.
one thing I really like about them are the masks you wear in each one of them. And I was wondering if you came up with the designs for them, and if you did, do they have a bigger meaning behind them, or did they just
What
like look
masks?
cool? Like
What masks, man?
the
No, I'm
Starface
kidding.
mask,
I'm
the
fucking with you. I'm fucking with you.
uh,
I'm fucking with you. I do that. I do that to. I get asked in interviews the meaning behind the masks, and usually I'm like, "What are you talking about?" Because in short, yeah, I mean, I design all the masks, or at least the initial concept, and then I'll take them to somebody to make them. And I, when I created the idea of, man, it's just like being a kid and being a superhero, right? But for me, it wasn't necessarily being a superhero; it was hiding insecurity. There was something that when you put a mask on, and I guess we can all attest with COVID, where you feel a certain sense of like safety, where it's like the world doesn't really know what you look like. And for me, every mask has a different character or personality trait that I highlight within myself, that I can sit down and just like really see and be like, what does this mean? And like, I won't really talk too much about the chaos now thing, but I guess since Pixel Bath is long gone, it's easier for me to explain in a sense that won't take the wonder out of it because I don't. It makes it less special. You know what I mean? I would like it to be something that is explained more for you than anybody else, um, or easy for you to understand than having to explain it to somebody. But that was like being a kid with your head cocked up to the sky when you're well, like when you're a kid, you look up and you see stars in your eyes, and it's like it's infinite. You don't know what the fuck that is. Is it a window somewhere? Is it like it's your reflection of what's around you? And like I think when we're kids, there's a certain sense of like naivety, and like everything is special. Like you can walk around and play in the sand pit, or you can play with little fucking Hot Wheels and make noises. And for whatever reason, that feels like the whole world to you. So for me, I was always a kid that was like kind of like caught in like a wonder of like what else is here? Like what are we? You know what I mean? And I think when I came up with the concept of masks, it wasn't necessarily to hide my identity. It was kind of to highlight parts of my identity. And it's funny because in order to do that, I had to strip back parts of my identity. Kind of like when you're making a song and you want the string section to be so much louder, so you quiet the drums and you make the synths way quieter. And you're like, wow, there's these strings that are just beautiful. And it's like, yeah, the reason you notice that because out of all the complex things that make this record, for 1 second, I wanted to highlight this very specific part. So when it came to the masks, it was the same principle, especially in design. It was like, what makes us all cool? Like I wanted it to be, I don't want it to be like if you listen to June Dawson, you're this, or you have to have a certain amount of money to do this. It's like if we take all the personality of what it is to be a Starface, or what I am wearing the Starface, I'm just the same as another person wearing it. It's like we're all the same identity. We're all this one thing. And not unlike a communist, like we all wear gray shirts, nobody's better than one another. And not saying that's bad either, but it's like our identity becomes everybody. And I feel like that's without generalizing our human experience. I feel like when we do wear masks that are matching one another, it's like it's less about what's on the mask rather than what's in the mask. But the only thing is you see what's on the mask. So, you know, I don't know. I just wanted to, I thought it was really fucking cool that we're able to look at things and like be starry eyed at the entire world and the world be starry eyed about us.
I don't, I'm like I don't even know what to say. My bad, but thank you
It's
for
so good.
having all this shit. I can't wait for the new shit you're gonna be dropping. I'm gonna be right here for it.
Oh man, thank you. Thank you so much. It's gonna, I think it'll be a fun time. I hope it is. Whatever. We're just along for the ride.
All right, man.
You have a good night.
You too.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Razor coming in hot.
um, if I cut out, let me know because I have my room is a dead zone. So, but
So good.
oh my god, I don't. I just obviously, you know, thank you for all you do, and I love your music so much. But my question was, do you have any advice? You know, because I know you talk a lot about the kids like you,
Yeah.
and I really appreciate that. And do you have any advice for the kids like you know, that are going through? Because you know, I'm Hispanic. You know, I got ADHD. I'm kind of a outsider. So do you have any advice for the kids like you that are going through what you did as a kid?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it depends. Like, what is it like? Life advice? Is it like I'm not a prophet. You know what I mean? Like, I'm
Yeah,
not. I'm
yeah,
I'm literally when I mean kids like me, it's just like I understand what it feels like to talk to somebody that you enjoy or whatever the case is, and it's hard to remove the fact that they're an artist. And
yeah.
like that's why I have like a really grotesque feeling when I say fans. Like I don't like using that word because I'm just like, man, they just like music, and I'm very thankful. So to circumvent the conversation or to make it, clear, like, do you just mean in general, like life, or you mean like
Yeah,
something?
yeah.
I mean, okay, how old are you?
I'm 17.
Dude, you're in the best part of your life, man. For what I know, you know what I mean. Like I've only been
Yeah,
alive a few more years than you, but when I was 17, I can give you kind of like a little something maybe. But when I was 17, I was indestructible. And like I talk
yeah.
about this shit all the time. Like there's maybe something that you don't realize yet is that you can walk kind of fearless because
Hmm.
there's still a sense of naivety in you and something that you should hold on to as much as you can. Like you being Hispanic already presents itself with certain things in this world that you're going to have to deal with, whether it's the way that we identify or the world identifies with us. And I think part of it is going to give you a little, it's either going to make you mad or it's going to give you fuel, like ambition. And for
Hmm.
me, I was, you gotta say, I'm black and Hispanic. So I grew up in two parts of the world being a misnomer in both parts. So I went to an elementary school and a middle school that was predominantly white kids and Mexican
Yeah.
kids, rather. And then in Mexico, I'm a black person, which up until recently, because there's a mass migration of Haitian people in Mexico, which is beautiful. It was kind of like weird saying somebody black because they just thought you were Dominican or something. So
Hmm.
I always was in a place where I didn't necessarily not fit in, but it was just I was different, which is
Yeah.
fine. So when I got older, like older as in your age, I started to realize I became more conscious of myself. And that shit is scary. Like, you knowing that you have ADHD is a fucking scary thing, right? Because I figured
Yeah.
out that I had different disorders because you're coming into the age where those disorders start to show. So whether it's
Hmm.
like, one of my best friends that is always around me, he has really severe ADHD. Like this motherfucker can't sit still. And it's my favorite part about him. He's like
Yeah.
always jumpy and fucking tapping his feet and shit like that.
Yeah.
But
Like
he
I'm
plays
pacing right now.
yeah, he plays basketball and shit. And he's like one of the best basketball players. He's 6'9". Like he's big as hell. And that's the only thing
Jeez.
I've ever seen him find that focus in was basketball. I'm like, nigga, as a person that is giddy and like fucking all over the places you are, when you do this one thing, you are a fucking master. And he's like, yeah, man, I wish I could apply that to other things. And that's the thing where he doesn't give himself credit because me and him are writing a movie right now. He's an amazing, like, and he doesn't give himself credit for that. Me and him both went to film school. That's where I met him in college, where we studied film. And
Hmm.
we happened to be roommates and be in the same major, but he played for the basketball. I would say, oh man, if I could tell my 17-year-old self one thing, it would just be like, yo, take every day with stride. For real,
Uh-huh.
like eat good food, be around people that you enjoy. Don't don't fucking press yourself over the shit that adulthood's gonna bring, because it'll come. Like whether you like it
Yeah.
or not, it's gonna hit you like a truck. But while you're
Yeah.
17, like if you're fucking ADHD and you're like whatever symptoms you get of that, see the strength in it before you see the weakness in it. Because for me, when I was
Mhm.
17, I had depression and anxiety. And I didn't know that until I was like 17, 18. I'm like, yo, why the fuck am I like, why do I feel like this all the time? And until I got older, I'm like, yo, these are actually things that make me my whole individual, and not say that your afflictions are your personality. But
Yeah.
you being 17 and you being like a kid like me and me being like a kid like you, I could say is that, man, enjoy every single day that we have walking around, because I say this shit all the time. Like we got life and we got death. And everything in the middle
Mhm.
is wishful thinking. So if you wishfully think in the middle and you go practice whatever that is, like your life will be so much more fruitful, because you're able to take the little things in life way more preciously. And those little things add up for real. Like having a dog, having a mom, having a dad, whether you don't have those, having friends. Like
Yeah.
those little things are the only thing that fucking matter at the end of the day. Because when we're dead and gone, money, fucking fame or not fame or whatever day job we had, whatever, none of that shit goes with us. But the thing that stays is that we resonate with people. So maybe try to just
Mhm.
resonate goodness, the good shit that you can do for yourself and the people around you, and really stay conscious of like, yo, I can do something with my life that's bigger than me. And as long as you practice trying to do something bigger than you, you'll always give back to the people around you. So
Yeah.
just make everything bigger than you, and just know that you have meaning in this world, and your path is being written as you write it.
Oh man. Thank you so much, man. I can't tell you how much this means to me. Oh
Man,
my god. All right. I'm a dip. All right. I love you, Gene. I'll see you.
love you too, man.
What's up, Jasmine?
Hey, what's up? Do you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right. So, I just want to say first of all, Gene, I love your music so much. I was at your show with Junior Varsity in LA, and it was like one of the best nights of my life.
Oh man, thank you. Yeah, that shit
And
was all over the place.
yeah, it was great. And I just wanted to ask, like cinematically, for like your music videos and stuff, who your sort of biggest inspirations were in terms of like filmmakers.
Oh man. You know what? I kind of like sat with myself with this because I'm working on a bunch of different things, right? And I'm like, who is somebody that I really look towards for reference point when it comes to cinema? And dog, I can tell you that I have no clue. Like, there's movies that I love for a specific reason, and I can't tell you why. Like, for instance, like Mike. Remember that Bow Wow movie?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm really into that fucking film right now. For whatever, I don't know what it is. I think it's just the fact that like I see a lot of myself in the character Bow Wow played, even though I wasn't, adopted or anything like that. But the idea of being this kid with wanderlust in his eyes about like these shoes that are supposed to magically give him this power, but the power was himself the whole time, type shit. But it wasn't. It's like pseudo realistic. But honestly, like my shit would be just as cliche as the rest, because I know a lot of film buffs that can go in deep about what director and what cinematographer really changed their life. But honestly, for me, my shit is like, I'll give you a perfect example. So the past week, I've been doing shows with Slow Tie. So from a few days ago, I've been on flights every single day, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna watch a movie. I'm gonna watch a few movies per flights because I'm going from New York to Chicago, Chicago to Denver, Denver to LA. So I'm gonna take time to watch movies because I'm writing other film stuff that involves my music and also things that are outside of my music. And I was like, what do I want to watch? And I fucking watched Finding Nemo twice. And like for whatever fucking odd reason, that just like did something for me so special. Where I'm like, oh man, this next music video makes so much more sense now. And I know that sounds like some weird, like, oh, you're just a weirdo. You're saying something to be weird. It's like, nah. For whatever reason, the tonality of Finding Nemo, it's fucking very eerie and also very heartwarming. And there's something to be said about character development, even in animation, that I really appreciate when it comes to Disney or Pixar or anything like that. But to be honest with you, man, like I could say Quentin Tarantino and all the people that everybody likes artistically, But at the end of the day, I really just like shit that I can like. Ice Age is one of my favorite movies of all time. Surf's Up, one of my favorite movies of all time, just because of how it made me feel. And I've always tried to practice that in like the thesis of what I do visually. That there's some feeling that's being evoked, and even sometimes it's not even clear. Like a lot of people are like, "Are these videos connected? Are they not?" And it's like, no, they are, but in a weird, twisted way. That if the only way you'd get is if I explain it, unless you're somebody that really digs deep through everything. So to answer your question in very short, I don't know. I would really like to know because I've been thinking about it a lot, and I'm like, what movies have made me feel these kind of ways? But it's just a random list of movies where I'm just like, yeah, man, the color in this movie is great. The actors in this movie is great. Like, I love Jake Gyllenhaal since he was a kid. Like, there's different movies that do different things for me. So when it comes down time to like make something, um, my references are weird, and like, thankfully, I've been able to work with like friends that understand my weird references at least a little bit. So when we translate it into my visuals, it makes sense to you guys. Because if it was up to me, it'd just be like, yo, why don't we just have fucking Big Nemo flying behind me and I'm in this field? And people be like, why the fuck did you do that? And in my head, I'm like, because he was looking for his son. And I felt like my entire life, my dad was looking for me. And he finally found me in my 20s. You know what I mean? But for me, that makes sense. For everybody else, it's like, yeah, he had a big fish behind him. It was fucking weird. I don't know what's going on. So to answer your question, I don't know, man. I wish I did. I'm gonna keep thinking about it though. Like maybe in a year from now, I can come back and be like, all right, you know, I can definitely tell you one of the biggest ones is Spike Jones, who did all the early Jackass shit. That did her, that did where the wild ones are. Like that's definitely one of my favorite. Like one of my favorite directors, and even just like the way that he presents movies. So I guess to answer your question, Spike Jones is like in that list. But other than that, dude, I have no idea.
Okay, thank you, thank you. And well, yeah, next show you have in LA, I'll be there for sure.
Oh, dude, tomorrow, the Nova.
Oh wait, no way. Okay, I'll buy tickets right now.
Yeah, with Denzel Curry, it's gonna be fun.
All right, and wait, is AG Club gonna be there too?
Yeah, they're opening.
Oh, sick. All right, I'll try and buy tickets. Thank you.
I'll see you there.
Hey, how's it going? I have a question I typed it out and then I kind of read it and it's a little vague, so you can kind of take this however you want. But
Shoot.
You talked in your Fantano interview about how you have influences in all these different genres. I'm a big music person. The past 5 or so years, I've been getting into all the internet core music shit, the shoegaze, ambient, indie pop. You talked about stuff like that in artists like Cocteau Twins, which is the one I distinctly remember. 'Cause I'm a big fan as well.
Heaven or Las Vegas, dog.
So good, so good.
Classic.
I think you told a story about like running from police while listening to Cocteau Twins. That like stuck with me. Anyway, how do you feel like these sounds, these different styles, sort of influence or impact how you tell your story through your music? And also, how do you differentiate yourself from others in how you're sort of a new artist, a relatively new artist, I guess?
Okay. So yeah, I mean, definitely have my time in the sun with that album and doing bad shit for whatever reason. My life happened to put me in positions where I'm like listening to something that's super left of what I'm doing. Because you would think like I'm listening to DMX or some shit while doing the things that I was doing, but I'm over here listening to, some of the prettiest music ever made. Um, all the sounds in my music. You mean sounds of like the world of like music world, or just like the sounds that I choose?
Yeah, just sort of influences in general. I don't know. You can take the question however you want. It's a
I
little
mean,
vague, I know.
no, it's all good. I mean, the way I navigate things is just very much so like kind of the way I just explained like my film piece, like the way that I study film, right? A lot of it is visual. It's hyper visual. It's hyper aestheticized, if you will. Where I feel like some people say they're synesthetic and shit like that. I'm not a synesthetic person, but I am a person that gives sounds to things like objects, like the way a tree sounds, the way a chair sounds, a motorcycle, not the sounds that they give off traditionally. More so like what sounds that they kind of represent. If it's is it a low end sound that this washer machine has? Like, is it sound like a bass tone? Is it brown? Is it green? And the way I kind of go through music is kind of the opposite of putting paint on the wall, if that makes sense. Where it's like instead of throwing things, it's very fine. It's like a controlled chaos, and that's kind of like been a running theme for me, where I find certain sounds that tonally make me feel something other than what it should be. And I think a lot of people have like a weird affliction with like how do you make this and this together and make it sound cohesive? I think it's like you're overthinking it, man. Like music is one of the biggest gifts that I think humans have been given. And what it stems from is much less important than where it's going. So I'm always thinking about music as something that's progressive, and progressive not in like just prog rock or like something in that world, not like noise rock, but progressive in a sense where what are we pushing forward and why are we pushing it forward? Instead of looking back and being like, oh, we should revitalize this or that. So when I find my home in specific sounds, I really like to identify what the purpose of that sound is and why it belongs in this cafeteria, so to speak, of a bunch of kids. Like what we all bring to the lunch table, whether it's a bag lunch or the school lunch or you don't have lunch. And there's something really, really specific about the way that each person sits in that lunchroom. I guess the personification of music for me. And that is like fucking playlists, right? Like playlists, you turn on a playlist now and all the music is all over the place. It's not it's curated to what's new and what can relatively fit together. But it's not like, oh, here is rock music. And for 90 minutes, you're not listening to what your dad would listen to in the 70s or 80s. You're listening to an amalgamation of shit that may or may not make sense, but it's like the same thing with style, right? Like you could be at Coachella and you see a kid wearing the floral stuff, and then you see another kid wearing what Lil Uzi Vert would be wearing, and it's like music has become such a subversive thing that is special because the boundaries are continuously being chipped at, and people try to hold the boundaries together all the time. And I don't mind a purist by any means. Like if you're gonna play me jazz, like I want to hear a jazz musician. You know what I mean? But if you're somebody that's like, I'm gonna give you a little bit of jazz, then I'm gonna give you rap, and then I'm gonna give you West Coast. Oh, you're gonna give me Kendrick Lamar. I love that. Why does that make sense? Because it's Kendrick Lamar. And so to answer your question, without rambling as much, the way I navigate that stuff and how I navigate being a new artist is the same way I just navigate like getting dressed in the morning. It's like, what the fuck do I feel like wearing? And why do I feel like wearing it? Is it cold outside? Is it hot outside? Do I give a fuck if either of those things? And when I figure out that, I don't think that there is a rule book. And that comes from, again, my naivety. A lot of people have a rule book because they went to school for music or a bunch of other things, which isn't a bad thing. But rules are like the safety net. And by all means, you want to make a pop record, there's a certain BPM you should use. There's a certain frequency you should use. There's a certain feeling that you should go for. But if you're trying to make something that you've never really heard together, don't do it with the intention of doing something that you never heard together. Just do something that comes from you. And that pure form, I think, renders good things. And it also can render horrible things. Like I've made some horrible music because I'm like, what if I have metal and this country riff going together? And I'm like, oh, it sounds sick in my head. And then when it comes out, I'm like, this sounds like fucking throw up. And there's something beautiful because then I can learn from that experience and I can keep it moving. I'm like, oh, okay, this is what worked there. This is what didn't work there. So me being a new artist, I think I'm fascinated with the idea of people wanting me to be sure of what I'm doing. And I think a lot of people don't know if I'm sure, but I can tell you that I'm very sure. So to answer your question, where I fit is where I belong, and like where I belong is wherever the fuck I choose to be, and whether that makes people comfortable, whether they understand it, whether they don't understand it, and sometimes the things that you do from just you may not be for the whole world. They may literally be for the 5 friends that you have, or they may be for the 100 people in this Discord chat.
Yeah, no, that's a great answer. People were talking about ADHD before. I got ADHD too, so a lot of like the rambling makes sense.
Dude, trust. I don't have ADHD, but when I'm passionate about something, I can talk about it all day.
Yeah, I gotcha. No, thank you for the answer. And if you tour again, come back to Tempe. That was super fun.
Oh yeah, I'm there.
All right, for sure. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Thanks, Trev.
Hey,
Hey, what's up?
I just want to say, man, you're like one of my biggest inspos.
Oh man, thank you. That's so nice. Like I don't even know what to say. Like I just be existing, dog.
Yeah, man. But yeah, I just want to ask, do you plan on doing any more like big music or not music video projects like what you did for Pixel Bath? Because I really enjoy those. And I think that's one of the things that separates you and makes you so unique is the storytelling you show through your music videos.
Yeah, I actually got off the phone with like, the lead director of a lot of the stuff that I'm working on right now. I got off the phone earlier today because we had like a bunch of shit that we needed to talk about. But yeah, it's something very, very fucking cool in my opinion, which is irrelevant, but it is not irrelevant. I don't know. I have some stuff that I'm really like excited to show. Um, that go along with this project, and the story is already being built, and you guys already seen parts of the story even though you don't know that you've seen parts of the story, and I'm pretty stoked about it. I think it's very special, in a very funny and weird kind of way. I think it's going to be a little off-putting, but in the best way possible.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I'm excited to see it when it comes out. Because, do you have any like general inspiration for these, or like things that just spark the creativity within you when you work on these projects?
No, dude, it's like inspirational schizophrenia in a sense. Like it'll come and then it'll go, and you just gotta catch the dragon when it's in the sky, so to speak. Like for I don't chase. I know I have a lot of friends that hit walls, like brick walls, when they're trying to like get something creative out. And for me, I'm just like, dude, go take a walk. Like stop thinking about this thing for a second, and it'll come to you. And I've always felt really strongly about that philosophy of like taking a break, because we have this thing where we like to figure things out as soon as that they arise, and sometimes it's not meant for that time. So for me, the way creativity comes is like, a lot of times when I think of stuff, like when I think of merch designs and shit like that, I'm walking in Target. That's why people are like, why are you making fucking Target clothes? I'm like, because I was in Target. And I was like, I want my merch to look like it sits in Target. And it's like, why? And it's like, because I don't want anybody to feel richer than the next person for having it. I don't want it to be an item that distinguishes you from the next person. It's like, yo, we can all, not everybody. I remember when my mom would take me to Target and I felt rich because we can afford that stuff. So when I got to finally go to Target, and my mom could buy me Massimo pants, which, is Target brand, I felt like, oh shit, like I'm on. And again, it's like part of the inspiration, right? Where it's like, I spent my entire life going to thrift stores, and not because it was cool or trendy. It was before that where I was embarrassed to tell people that I got my pants from thrift stores. So I go, and this is like, you gotta remember, I grew up, and I'm still growing up, but I grew up in the era where skinny jeans were first reintroduced, because I was a skater and I would wear my mom's pants because they were skinny. And my mom started taking me to the thrift store to get pants, and then my aunt would tailor them for us. So she'd give me like $30 to buy pants, and I'd buy like 7 pairs of pants with $30. And then my aunt would make them skinny jeans, and people would be like, "Yo, where'd you get that color from?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I got them online," and I was lying because I was embarrassed. And I felt like a need to like not tell people that I was poor as fuck. And now when I'm older, I'm like, how do I keep that that feeling. So when I first started making merch, and I'll keep it short, but when I first started making merch, I was trying to make these really high concept pieces, and people have been talking about the decline of what I've been doing, but those high concept pieces were really expensive. And the reason why I wanted to make them the way that I wanted to make them is like, if you look at all the old stuff, it all fits everybody the same. And that's how I wanted it to fit. It's like short, wide fit. So if you're a heavier set kid, like I was, and like I still am, like you wouldn't feel weird that the shirt fits another kid differently than it fits this person, because I wanted it to feel like universal. And to do that, design philosophy was really expensive because I'm making, I'm pattern making. I'm doing actual design work where these things are cut and sew, and that shit got really expensive. And I was just like, yeah, I got to figure out another way to do that. And the only way I could figure out how to do that is like, why don't I just make everything feel like you got it at a Target? And like the things that don't feel like you got it at a Target, it feels like you got it at some random ass weird shop that anybody could technically go to. So I wanted to take this, again, this is to answer your question, but I wanted to take what it felt like to buy clothes as a bigger kid to feel less invasive on what your body feels like. And then when that got too expensive, I wanted to take the feeling, the inspiration between, or what I've been doing with Mickey or whatever, is like, yeah, that shirt is cool, but it doesn't look like that shirt is, $150. It looks like that shirt is like $30. And it's because that shirt is $30. And as much as I would like to do the other things, the inspiration came from me walking around Target by myself with headphones on and just buying ketchup, because there's this really good ketchup brand in Target that I fucking love. It's called G Hughes. It's sugar free. It's Black owned. And the only place I could find it is Target. But as I was walking through there, I went through the clothes aisle and I was like, wow, this is sick that they have such a variety of clothing now. Because when I would come through here, I would wish to find like a good Mickey Mouse shirt. And now there's hella Mickey Mouse shirts. So my inspiration comes from fucking literally anywhere and anything at any given time. And sometimes I just have to catch it while it runs past me. Sometimes it misses me. But when I do catch it, I usually am very happy with the end result.
Yeah, man. I feel that, again, inspiration from whenever you can. I'm always looking for inspiration for artwork, for anything I can, get my hands on. That means a lot to me, man. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for the question, man. Keep being inspired, dog. It's there.
Can't wait for your next album, man.
Oh yeah, it's coming, man.
All right. See ya.
All right, bro.
Nice, man. I got a similar story at the thrift store with my mom.
Oh, bro. The thrift store is so real. Like, people, after Macklemore's like thrift store shit, a lot of people, like, I started to feel bad because thrifting was trendy. And I'm like, y'all motherfuckers have enough money to go buy new shit, dog. Like, I was going into the thrift store embarrassed, and my mom's like, here's $100. And I'm like, fuck, I'm rich in this bitch. $3 shirts, fucking buying coaches jackets for schools I didn't go to, just trying to make style out of it. And I remember vividly just being like, man, that's kind of how I came up with not even came up, but that's how my identity developed, where I was like, I have to be utilitarian, especially with my ideas and shit like that, because sometimes the most ready-made shit isn't good for you, especially as a creative person. Like, I still don't even shop at the mall and shit. Like, a lot of clothes are given to me for free, but all of my favorite shit is like very inexpensive shit.
Oh, hello.
Real quick, would you mind dropping the name of the black-owned brand from Target to the chat, the text?
Yeah, so last time I went there, they didn't have it anymore, but it's called G, like G as in gangster, and Hughes as in like Hugh Jackman. G Hughes ketchup. It's like a black dude on the bottle. It's sugar free, and if you know me or anybody knows me, I don't eat sugar. So I found a ketchup that tastes fucking delicious, and it was G Hughes. And the last time I went to the Target by my crib, it wasn't there, and I was really bummed out by it. And then I tried to get sponsored by them, but they weren't fucking with me. I was just like, dude, I don't know what you need me to do, but like, just send me boxes of this ketchup, and I will fucking do ads for you. I don't care.
G Hughes. Hope they're listening in right now.
I know, fuckers.
What's up, Triple?
Hey, how's it going?
How are you doing?
I'm good. So, My question would be like, have you ever had like stage fright before? And like, do you still get it? And if so, like, how do you get over that?
Oh, well, yeah. When I was younger, for sure. I mean, stage fright, probably not. Nervousness, yes. So like when I was younger, so I started performing around 14, 15 at like local places in San Diego because all my friends made music and they were older than me. All my friends were like fucking 25, 26, and they were rappers. And they'd be
Oh,
like, yo, come do this show at fucking House of Blues. Like I missed prom to do my first show at the House of Blues in San Diego. And there was like 10 people in the crowd. But I remember I was nervous to forget my lyrics back in the day. Like that was like the peak of my nervousness. I'm like, what if I freeze? What if and it's funny because the first ever performance I have to this day was at this place called Lydia's Cafe in San Diego. Um, and like maybe 2 weeks prior, YG had got shot at over there. And my
oh,
mom, I don't know how the fuck we got the shot. I don't remember. It was like my mom's friend or something. And me and my best friend Red, um, we like we made music together and what have you. And they were doing like not a showcase, but just rappers were rapping. And there was like 15 people in the crowd, whatever. And it was like 11 o'clock at night. And I remember we were up next. And I remember Red, don't hate me if you're in here. I don't know. But I remember Red just being shook. Like, fuck, I'm nervous. And I was like, yeah, me too. What the fuck? This is fucked up. And we get on stage and my mom's there and my aunt's there with a camcorder. I don't know how she still had a camcorder because this is well into the 2000s. So it was
hmm
like 2000, 2010, 2012. And we're up there and we're rapping. And then Red's part comes on and he forgets his lines. And I was like, oh shit. And I start rapping his lines and he jumps back in. And that was like the moment. That was the moment when I lost all stage fright fear, where I was like, oh, I know exactly what I'm doing here. And when I was, when I turned like 16, 17, and I was doing shows still, and they were a little bigger and I had a little more people listening to me in San Diego,
hmm
um, there was like a certain switch that just got turned on where you kind of just black out and it's just like the performance part takes over. Um, to this day, I mean, I still feel like you should be nervous before a show. I think it's natural. Like, I don't know if what the hell is going on over
like
there.
you're making
I don't.
progress, as in like,
Yeah, I don't know if it's necessarily like. Um, I don't think that you should have stage fright, especially. And if you do, I think it's a good practice because I know a lot of people that can't talk in front of classes and shit like that. And for me,
yeah,
I wasn't one of those kids that couldn't talk in front of classes. I just detested it. Like I thought school was stupid. I thought everybody was stupid. So I'm like, I'm not going to answer this question. I would be asleep in class and teacher would ask me the question because they wanted to catch me on the spot and I would still answer it with my head down. I was that kid. And they're like,
damn,
he was a smart ass. So I never really had that issue, but I do still to this day. Like, I mean, I had a show in Denver, was it yesterday or the day before yesterday? And before I went on, you get butterflies, but I always feel like that's a good sign. I feel like it's a good omen because I feel like if you lose that, you're gonna lose the want and the like the magic that comes with performing. So I feel like it's something that you should hold on to. And I mean, I'm doing Coachella, and that's why we're in this chat. And like, I'm not nervous, but I will tell you what, before I get on that stage, I'm probably gonna have to take a shit. And it's just it's fucking nervousness and that's okay. And it's perfectly normal and it's good for you, honestly. Like it puts you on cue. And I think people that fight that feeling will lose love for what they're doing. You do get like I'm comfortable as hell on stage. I can be on stage forever. I could probably do stand-up comedy if I really wanted to. But it just took practice and it took being okay with like when people are like, oh, imagine everybody naked. I don't do that. Why? Because most of the people in the crowd are 15. That's pedophile shit. what
yeah,
i do what I do is when I'm up on stage, I imagine everybody being on stage with me, so there's no stage and like it doesn't exist. We're all communicating the same information. That's why when people sing my lyrics back to me, it's like, fuck, we're really like what's that shit, High School Musical, we're really all in this together.
yeah,
Like that's how
exactly.
that's how I feel. And that takes away the nervousness because the focus, whether it's on you or not, it's like, nah, the focus is on all of us. This moment that we're experiencing together is not about me. It's like I'm the conduit or the vessel to this moment, but we're the whole ship and we're all going together. And that definitely helped me a lot coming up, where I'm like, yeah, man, I'll tell you, performing in front of 100 kids, not even kids, people, is way harder than performing in front of thousands, because those 100 people are just as nervous and invested in you as you are to them. And like, they want to do a good job at giving you back that feedback loop of energy,
Mm-hmm.
and you can see it. Like, that's why I love when people get rowdy with me and we're all sweaty and just like, yeah, this is fucking fun, because it feels like a gang of my friends just like being in a car screaming the same lyrics. And that's the way I treat performances. And it's an art to it. And the comfortability that you have is definitely indicative of the time that you spend thinking about what a good job is on stage and what it means to share that moment with people.
Damn. Fucking well said, man.
Oh man, thank you. I don't talk much, but when I talk, I talk.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And fucking love your music. Everything you do, just keep doing you, man. For real.
Oh man, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Jason.
So we got one more, Jason, Jim.
Yeah, maybe two more.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Yo, what's up, Gene? I'm a big
What up?
fan. All
Oh
right,
man.
so my question is, how do you react to those who like to hate on you or sleep on you? How do you use their hate and ignoring to better yourself as an artist or even a person?
Oh, you read the script over here. All right, I got you. It's a good question.
Thank you.
Hate on me, I don't give a fuck. I was a fat kid my entire life, dog. I had people make fun of me. The girls that I liked didn't like me. All this shit, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I learned that what you eat doesn't make me shit, and everybody's entitled for sure to their own opinion, even if it's fucking trash. And I think, man, it's so funny because I literally was talking to somebody about this today, that the opinions come with the bigger that you get, right? And the more open you are, the less you control the storyline or whatever have you. So for me, it's like some people forget that I'm just a human being. Like, I make music, and I spend my entire life thinking about music and what comes with artistry. And there's this strong divide with human beings and artists that don't make art or don't consider themselves artistic. Um, and a lot of it comes from like this filter of like the internet. So kids will message me really mean shit all the time. For one, if you see me in person, you won't say that I'm 6'1", fucking. I got long shoulders and long arms, dog. Like, I'm not the one. And I've also been a kid that got my ass beat plenty of times in my life. I have no fear in my heart for that shit. So somebody can say anything at any given moment behind, the keyboards and shit like that. And I can appreciate it, because that energy that you're outputting, I'll never give it back to you. And if I do decide to give it back to you, it's because I'm going to make it a funny experience, because I think there's something funny, like a punchline that you didn't hit that I should hit. So I have like a really grotesque against bullies. Like, I really dislike bullies, just like most people dislike bullies, but I didn't have any bullies growing up. Why? Because I was big as shit. Like, okay, bully me, you're going to get punched in the mouth. So for me, it was like, I don't like people picking. I don't like when people pick on each other. I have this really bad thing about, I have really nasty shit to say. But for me, when people quote unquote hate on me, I'm like, dude, you took your time out your day to say something that doesn't mean shit to me, but it means something to you. And that feedback loop of energy that you want to put out, like, it's never received. It's like, you know what it's equivalent to? It's like when somebody sends you it's like a message in a bottle thrown in the ocean. Like, I'm the ocean. You threw a message in the bottle. Like, whether it gets opened up or not, like, is to be determined. And sometimes I will open up that message, and A, I'll block you, or B, I'll just be like, that's cool. Your opinion is what you want it to be. Like, I'll give you an example. Like 2 days ago, some kid messaged me, it's like, Gene, are you fat now? And like, anybody that knows around me, like, I go to the gym every single day for 3 hours a day. I had to lose all my COVID weight. I cover myself up because of insecurity shit. But the world will find its way to pick at you. And the way that you react to that picking is definitely up to you. for me, I'm like, I definitely was bigger. I'm definitely bigger than when I came out first. But I also am like losing 10 pounds a month. It's fine. Like I don't need to impress anybody, and I'm not here to make somebody feel like their opinions of me are valid or invalid. It's like what you see with your eyes is always going to be what you see with your eyes. So hate, not hate, whatever the case is, like, cool, man. If you choose to spend your life like that, it's going to be a sad life, but it's yours to live. I'm not going to tell you to do otherwise, even if it's supposed to affect me. When it comes to people sleeping on me, so to speak, I don't know if I give a fuck because when people say like Gene's underrated, I'm like, if I'm underrated, how do you know about me? I don't think somebody that's underrated is known about by anybody. I feel like there's no such thing. I just feel like there's things that are vastly popular. I think there's things that are new, like I'm new, and I think there's things that will grow. And I have no what's the word? I have no desire to skip steps on anything because I've never done that. I put in my 100,000 hours to be considered a new artist, and that's exactly what I am. So, do I have a big TikTok song? No. Do I have a big radio song? No. Do I have people that are sitting in this Discord trying to ask me questions? Absolutely. Which one out of those things do you think I give a fuck about? Probably the last one. So for me, sleep all you want. It's cool. I don't give a fuck. Whether you're here or not here, not you, but whether that person's here or not here isn't really going to affect me at all. So to a quote unquote hater or whatever, dude, live your life. If that's your truth, by all means, do it to the best of your ability. Just know that one day you're subject to get punched in the mouth by somebody. It may not be me. It may not be your neighbor. It may just be some person that's not fucking with you like that. And I would hope that that's not the case, but shit, that's how life goes. And then for anybody that's asleep, man, dude, I hope the pillow's soft.
Yeah, bro, I love your mindset, and like I just look up to you so much for that.
Mm.
Yeah,
Man,
it's like
don't look up to me, dude. Nigga, I am right here with you. Fuck that. We're on the same stage. We're talking to the same amount of people. Right here from the same stage.
I appreciate that, bro.
No problem, man.
It's my cousin's birthday. Could you say happy birthday to Beluga?
Oh,
He
you're
loves your
that kid.
music.
No. You're that kid. You asked me
Yeah.
that shit like 7 times. I blocked you. No, hell
Oh,
no. You
you
do not
did?
get that. I will unblock you, but I'm not saying happy birthday. How about that?
All right, that's fine.
I was like, fuck. And you asked me that shit like 8 times, and I was just like, this motherfucker, you want me to have the cameo. I'm not making a fucking cameo. I love you though.
Thanks, Gene. We got Bradley in the house.
I know Bradley.
Hi.
What's up, Bradley?
Hey, man. I don't have any questions. I just
Hold on,
wanted to say
before
hi.
you say anything. Look, Bradley's a piece of shit. I swear to God, no.
I'm gonna leave.
No, Bradley directed the porn acting video for everybody in the chat to know. He's the director of that fabulous video. And also, you probably heard, Bradley, do not say anything about our upcoming projects, please.
Hell
But
no.
Bradley's an amazing director, and we've worked together on other things, but that was our first time coming together and birthing a baby. And he's a very special director, and we have a lot of cool stuff coming. And yeah, man, high fives in the chat for Bradley.
High fives in the chat. You were too kind. I want to chime in one quick thing. The phrase "I hope the pillow's soft" is one of the coolest phrases. I'm gonna get that tattooed on my lower back. Thank you for that.
I'm gonna punch you. Bradley, you ain't got a question?
Oh, did I cut out? I'm sorry.
Yeah, what was your question?
I don't have a question. I just want to say that the phrase "I hope the pillow's soft" is one of the hardest things I've ever heard, and I want to get that tattooed on my throat.
I don't do that. I'm gonna punch you in the mouth if you do that. All right, we're gonna boot you off, and I'm gonna let somebody answer a question. Because Bradley, you have my number.
Yeah, boot me.
All right, love you, man.
Love you.
Holy shit. Okay. Hello?
He said, "Holy fuck, what's up, dog?"
No, literally, I've been sitting here since like the beginning. Oh my god. First off, hello.
Hello.
I found you in the weirdest fucking way. I want to tell you this. I literally found you from your song 0% in like early 2020.
Yeah, that's old.
it was the I don't know. It's not even like a popular one, but like I love that song so much. I literally was just listening to Mac DeMarco and it like came on randomly. I was like, oh shit.
That's fucking wild. Yeah, I made
Yeah.
that song very highly ambitious. That was like a very ambitious record for the time. I was sitting in a dorm room trying to make a song sound as big as Stadium, and I don't know if I hit the nail on that shit, but definitely was a moment where I was not sleeping and going to college, and I definitely missed a lot of class.
Oh
And I
shit.
remember making that song, and I remember the last iteration of that song sitting outside when the sun was coming up at Cal State LA in East LA, um, and just being like, "This is the shit," and I was like so fucking pumped. And I was really excited about that record because it was something that it was like a wall of like, how do I make something that sounds like beautiful dark twisted fantasy? And that was like the intention at first, and I didn't hit that mark at all, thankfully. But uh, the intention was definitely to do something that was really big and world building. And me being, a fucking 20-year-old with no idea how to do many things, I was really happy that me and Lex at the time like were able to make that song, even though now I probably wouldn't listen to it.
Mm. Yeah, but
Yeah.
my actual question was well, that wasn't really a question. I was just starting off, but like, so my actual question I was gonna ask you is like, would you ever be down to make like a like Childish Gambino's because of the internet, like how it was like a screenplay. Like I know you're into directing and stuff. Would you ever like be into like doing something like that since you're so into directing and stuff?
Yeah, I was literally talking about Charles Gambino like a day ago, and also my best friend is coming over. We're gonna go to the movies tonight to go watch a movie. But we also have to catch up on Atlanta today, so we're gonna do that while I relax and drink tea to get ready for the show. Um, yeah. So Bradley, that was just on the phone, could have told you, or just on the in the chat, he could have told you. But I'm working on a few different things. I'm working on a long form, like full feature film, um, right now, and then I am also working on an anime. And then I'm also going to be working on. This is going to be years from now, but I started it now. But I'm going to be working on a rock opera, like kind of like fucking you know Bohemian Rhapsody style, but long form and actual like play form, or not necessarily play form, but it'll be screenplay adjacent kind of form. Um, so yeah, I mean, a lot of my life has been based around visual components of things, and I feel like there's so much to be explored, and I definitely want to have my first movie out before I turn 30, um,
Good
which
time.
is I want to literally have my first film out next year, but it's a lot of moving parts and stuff, and also I'm doing a lot of other shit, and I like to stay focused on one project at a time. But uh, yeah, the feature film that I'm working on is gonna be sick, I think, and I'm a good decent amount in the way of doing it. So to answer your question, yeah, man, there's gonna be a lot of visual things if God gives me life that I want to give to the world because I feel like my brain's a little uh, conducive to that kind of mode of creativity, I guess.
Thank you.
Yeah, no fucking
Amazing.
problem, man.
Well, thanks so much, man. Looking forward to seeing your set on Friday.
Hell yeah, it's gonna be fucking fun. We've been rocking it a few shows. I mean, we're changing it a bit, but it's gonna be bigger and stronger and stuff. But yeah, I'm pretty stoked on it, man. My mom will be there, and I'm going to be jumping around, and hopefully they're jumping too. If not, fuck it, I don't care.
I will be there with you, man. Any final words before we shut it down? I know there were some more chats and some questions in the chat that I think last time you chatted to people a little bit.
Yeah, is there any that are highlighted right now? Because I'll answer them quick. That's not a problem. Is there anything in chat that? Let me see.
I think people are like rushing to type now.
Uh, uh, Okay, I see one. What was the peak moments of your music career where you're like, well, I could actually do this for a living? Was it when you released Bad Sports, Pixel Bath, willing to pay one, or the fact that your supporters are willing to pay 1K for a vinyl? Uh, man, so many people were mad about that, but shit, I can pay rent. Um, so I answered that question. Peak moments, I don't think it's come yet. I don't think I've had a peak moment yet. I definitely had like a very nice moment where I was able to take my mom to the Grove. It's like a shopping center in Los Angeles. And my mom has worked since she was 12 years old to now her being 53. Um, and my mom, since I was born, has never bought herself anything. And like, no bullshit. Like, I mean, yeah, shit from the thrift store to go to work, but like, doesn't buy herself shit. And it always really bothered me because she raised two boys, and all her money went to us, whether we were playing sports or my brother going to a private school that he needed to pay for school uniforms, or the little bit of money that we had left over so she could take me to the thrift store to get school clothes and go get one pair of Vans from the mall. And I remember calling her. I'm like, Mom, come to LA. Let's go to dinner. And she drove up, and I took her to Fogo de Chao, this like super fucking expensive Brazilian steakhouse. And um, I was like, oh, let's go to the mall. And I'm like, you can get anything you want from the mall. And she's like, what? I don't want nothing. Because my mom's that person. She doesn't want shit. And I was like, no, 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 don't do that. Like, just for me. Like, this is more for me than it is for you right now. I was like, I want you to get something. And I was like, I want you to get many things. What do you want? And she was like, um, I don't know. And I was like, Mom, do you want Louis Vuitton? Do you want to go to Gucci? And my mom's like, what the fuck? Hell no. My mom's punk rock, you know? Like, my mom grew up listening to this, not punk rock, but she grew up listening to like the Scorpions and like hair metal shit and rap music. So my mom's like fully no frills, not a girly woman whatsoever. Like, we'll punch you in the chest. Like, grew up wrestling me and my brother. Um, but my mom's also a little Mexican lady. And if you know anything about little Mexican ladies, they love Coach. They love Coach, the brand, and Michael Kors for whatever reason. So we go into Michael Kors, and I'm like, Mom, you want this shit? Like, we can go to Gucci or Louis Vuitton right now. And she's like, nah, fuck that. I'm like, okay. And in her mind, she's probably like, I don't want him to spend a lot of money. And I'm like, okay, whatever. And I'm like, what do you like from here? She's like, this purse is nice. These shoes are nice. And I was like, okay, shoes and purse. And Michael Kors, it being a higher line brand, but not like a Louis Vuitton or Gucci or anything in that world. I was like, I told the lady, I was like, can I have this whole wall in a size whatever my mom is and all these bags? And my mom's eyes get big as fuck, and she's like, no, no, and she starts getting really upset with me. I'm like, no, you did this to your fucking self. We could have went to Louis Vuitton and we could have got you two things, but now we're here, and since these things cost $200, I'm getting you all of them. And I like got the entire wall. And I remember my mom, my little Mexican mom, just struggling with all these fucking bags, just pissed off at me because I'm like, look, now you made a buffoon of yourself because I wanted to spoil you how you fucking did me my entire life. And for me, that that moment was like, although it's material, and although like I could have took my mom to dinner and gave her a lot of love and a lot of hugs and kisses, would have been the same or better rather. That moment of like my mom being like, how much money do you have? Was so fucking cool to me because it's not like I was flexing on my mom, but I wanted her to know like I never want you to have to worry about money ever again. And I want you to retire in the next 4 years. And I want to make that happen because you've been working since you were literally 12 years old. And you should spend the rest of your life doing whatever the fuck you want. The passion that you put into it, the feelings that you put into them. Yeah, I think $1,000 isn't a crazy ask because I could have asked for $1 million and everybody would have laughed. But instead of laughing, there was people that paid that, and every person that paid that, I put a little story on that vinyl, and I told them something very similar to this. So for me, I haven't hit my peak, and I'm nowhere near my peak. I'm just along for the ride, and I'm very thankful to be here. So with that being said, thank you guys for having me.
Thank you so much. Yeah, you've said a lot tonight, and I know everyone here appreciates it. Thank you for opening up, and just being honest and real with us.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing your show this weekend. And yeah, everyone check out new music.
Yes, sir. Thank you guys.
Porn Acting is out now.
Sir.
Have a good one, dude. Thank you.
All right, y'all.